Welcome to Narrow Ground Entertainment. I'm Steve the Unimpressed. This is episode 14 of COVID Besieged. A while back, a member of my family tested positive for COVID-19, and because of that, I couldn't go to work for a little while. So I decided to devote my time to making a YouTube video every day for the duration of that. That is nearly over. I should be going back to work tomorrow. So this is probably going to be maybe not the last episode of this series, but it will certainly be the last daily episode. I'm not entirely certain whether I'm going to continue the series or not, or whether I'm going to give it a different title, but continue in this 7 Days to Die world. I will have to decide exactly what I'm going to do with that in the future. If you have any opinions about that, please let me know in the comments. The input from everybody who's been watching would be helpful in making that decision. This episode is going to be devoted to a little bit of construction because I have the second zombie horde coming tonight, and I would like to be ready for them this time. A little more ready than just hiding in the rafters of a barn. To do that, I'm going to build the early on base structure that I tend to use, and I did decide on a site for it. I'm going to build it on this little flat area that is right in the middle of the map image. Over time, I sometimes develop a little bit more strategy about exactly where I put my horde bases, but often a flat open area where I can eventually have multiple structures is the option that I settle on. There is some benefit to putting it in a position that has lower elevation than all of the terrain around it, because then you can get zombies to fall off of cliffs and thin the herd for you. Often I find, though, that solution requires a little bit more digging than is really worthwhile. I've got most of the supplies I need for construction crafting in my inventory, so I'm going to gather some of my weapons and ammunition and head over there. Here I am in the middle of my nice open field. This is more or less meeting my expectations of it. Ooh, bird nest. Let's grab that while we're here. Can always use more eggs, and that is probably going to be destroyed. One of the considerations you should keep in mind when picking out a spot to build a horde base is that many zombies is a little bit hard on the terrain, because they do tend to get stuck on things, and when they get stuck on things, when their pathfinding runs them into something or really runs them near something, they have a tendency to hit it. So I'm probably going to try to cut down a fair number of these trees, certainly these three that are in a line here in front of me and this one behind me, because those will almost certainly be destroyed by zombies within a couple of days, or within a couple of horde nights at least. Let me just take out my fire axe and get started on that. Every time a zombie whacks a tree, it does some damage to it, and it reduces the amount of resources that you will get from it when you eventually harvest it yourself. So, might as well harvest it before the zombies get to it. Especially if it's in a situation like this, where you know that sooner or later the zombies are going to hit it. The trees are gone, now I just have to put up something to replace them. I've already put down the foundations of the towers that I typically build for the first few horde nights. I've done an episode on this structure before in my Alpha 18 series, which I guess now is actually several episodes shorter than this series, but it's still up. And I'm not going to repeat everything that I said in that episode. I'm also not going to show as much of the process of building it as I did in that episode, because that would just be repetitive. What I usually do is I build 4 towers, 6 blocks high, and at the top I build a platform of wood frame blocks in between them all. Wood frame blocks, as we saw in the first 7th Day Horde, you can shoot through, so it's a good way to be out of reach of most of the zombies with the exception of the vultures, but you don't usually get too many of those for the first few horde nights, and it makes for a very survivable location as long as you don't fall off of it somehow. The 3x3 pillars help with that because it takes the zombies quite a while to tear through that much material. And with the 3x3 towers, I have found in the past that even if there's only a single block remaining in a particular layer of the 3x3, it will still hold up all the blocks above it. The reason for having 4, of course, being that if the zombies do manage to completely tear down one, you still have 3 more to run around on top of. One of the reasons that I look for a flat area to build the base structure in is this. I didn't find a flat enough area. I usually like to avoid having to do any digging when I'm setting up at least this first structure. And, well, I failed in that this time. I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging. That problem is now taken care of. What I do as far as upgrading blocks when I build these, eventually I usually upgrade the entirety of every tower all the way up, but all that you really need is to upgrade the center column because you won't be able to reach it later in the higher levels, at least hopefully, and then the entire outside for the first 2 layers up. Those first 2 layers is mostly what the zombies will be hitting. Every so often they hit the 3rd layer a little bit, but usually not enough to matter that much. The first 2 layers are really what you have to worry about them destroying. So it's wise to upgrade those to the best of your ability. And that's what I'm going to work on now. Here we are, I've got most of the structure completed. I just need to fill in my flooring, but I am going to hold off on that for a few minutes. It is 4:30, my character is hungry, and I didn't bring any food with me, which was kind of an oversight. But it gives me a good chance to go back and check on the farm, because that is on the way to the base. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Then I'll come back and fill in the rest of the floor, and we'll be ready to face the Horde. Here are our fully grown crops. So there is no parenthesis text on these. I think there was in Alpha 18. I could be wrong about that though. Let's see if the rest of the Alpha 18 information holds true when I harvest it. Yep, there we go. I got 2 corn and it reverted to the seed state. And more importantly, I got coffee. In the case of the coffee and of the corn, though, I am probably going to save what I just harvested, since each seed costs 5 plants to make, and expand my supply of seeds. Maybe not so much of corn, because I believe I still have a number of corn seeds, but I planted all the coffee seeds I had to my name. Still, this is a good start. I just need a lot more farm plots and a lot more seeds. Things to work on. I do still have a lot of canned food, and I could have my character eat that, but I think I'm going to cook up some grilled meat quickly and eat that, because canned goods I tend to prefer to sell to the trader if I can, and I do have a surplus of meat right now. Alright, 5 of those are done. I'm going to leave the rest cooking and start heading back to the fortification, because I do still need to get that floor in, and we are starting to run out of time. The floor is finished, and as you can see, we're going to have a much better field of fire for this horde. I do recommend, if you're, especially the longer you use this particular structure, keep some spare wood frame blocks on your hotbar. There are a couple of zombies with ranged attacks. The one that I'm thinking of in particular is the police officer zombie, which can spit. I'm not sure if that's still in Alpha 19, but I don't know why they would have taken it out. I'm not likely to see any of them tonight, but something to be aware of for the future. And if one of these wood frame blocks in the middle gets destroyed, you can wind up falling through the hole before you really even realize that it was destroyed. So as soon as I start seeing any zombie with a ranged attack, I start watching for holes in the floor. I brought with me most of the ranged weapons that I have a significant amount of ammunition for. I've got quite a bit of pistol ammo, I've got plenty of rifle ammo, so I plan to rely on the rifles more, but if I start running out of rifle ammunition, I can fall back on the pistol. I did not bother with my bow. I don't actually have all that many arrows. Usually, especially early on, I do bring the bow with me on Horde nights, because if you run out of other ammunition, you just set your inventory to craft primitive arrows and keep firing. I didn't do that tonight because I have more ammunition than I would expect to need on a Horde night for quite a while yet. That is probably owing to the fact that I upped the loot volume for this playthrough. If you're playing on standard loot volume, you probably will want your bow along with you, because you will probably have significantly less ammunition than this. Here they come. Which way are they coming from here? There you are. Alright, now she's going to immediately start beating on this tower, which is fine, that's what I want her doing. Makes her an easier target. That's the other thing about these towers, that gives them something to hit, so they kind of stand still so you can shoot them more easily. Oh, I probably should have reloaded in between there. I hear some zombie dogs. Those things are a serious hazard sometimes. Not so much in 7th Day Hordes. It's more of a concern when you find them out in the open, because they can run all the time. Other zombies get slow in the day. The zombie dogs do not. Oop, I heard one of my blocks go. Yep, there. I think that's in the 3rd layer too, so. This is one of the towers that was on slightly higher elevation, so I probably should have reinforced the 3rd layer up as well. Oh well, if it falls down, it falls down. I'll just try to make sure that I'm not on top of it when it goes. If it goes. Having the marksman rifle is a serious benefit there, because I'm able to keep them off a little bit better than what I would with the regular rifle only. I wonder if the AI has been changed slightly for Alpha 19. Often in the past, they would not bunch up around one tower nice like this. They would kind of spread out and attack all of them. And the ones that I wasn't there to defend, well, I would have to run back and forth between towers to take out all the zombies. Here they're nicely grouping around the one that I'm standing on. Heard another block break there. But you can see how effective this structure is for defense in earlier game, because they have not been able to break more than a few, even though they're able to attack the ones that I didn't reinforce. Now they're crawling into the tower, sort of. And now they've spread out to attack the others. That's okay. That just means they won't be able to knock the one down. I may have a lot more ammunition in this playthrough than usual, but I still want to make sure as many rounds as possible actually hit a zombie. Oh, and then I missed. I was out of ammo. Not sure what was going on with her. A little bit glitched. Quite a few more loot bags lying around so far than there were last time. Oh, was out of ammo. Level 20. I think that's when some of the better loot starts to spawn. So if I continue this playthrough, hopefully I will be getting some better things in my loot. Fewer blunderbusses, more rifles. That's the hope anyway. Five rounds is really not a very large magazine, unfortunately. Still, though, the more powerful ammunition is nice to use. Gets a few more one-shot kills than I would with the pistol. Sounds like we've run out of zombies for the night, which is the same thing that happened last time. Good timing, too. I was just considering switching to the pistol so that I could conserve my rifle ammunition a little bit. Turns out that was unnecessary. Oh, the durability on my marksman rifle is pretty far down, too. Even when it looks like the zombie horde is over for the night, before the 4 o'clock morning hour, I usually don't come down from whatever fortification that I'm in until it's actually morning. So what I will do is open up the skills menu and page through that a little bit. What's my journal tip over here? Oh, it's still flashing from the chemistry station. These journal tips will help you figure out how to use stuff that you find. If you're in the game trying to figure out how to use an item, it's worth checking these journal tips to see if it has any advice on them. Let's take a look at the skills menu and see what else I can purchase, because I've got a few skill points. I've gotten my farming goals met, so I'm not going to devote any more points to that at the moment. See if there's anything else that I need desperately in the near future. I do recall that I was going to try and devote some more to Master Chef so that I could feed myself a little bit better. Looks like I can't buy anything in that until I level up my strength some more. Looks like just getting the second level of Master Chef will let me use most of the crops that I'm growing right now, though. At least once I find potatoes. I'll be able to make meat stew, vegetable stew. I'll be able to make the blueberry pie, which I think I actually have all the ingredients for now. Why don't we get that? Add another rank of strength. Unlock that. I think I'm going to spend that last skill point on the next level of the perception skill. That's the skill that governs rifles, and rifles are my preferred weapon in this game, so increasing my perception is always a decent investment. Once you get into the higher ranks of the attributes, it starts to cost multiple skill points to buy the next rank. So the first 5 ranks are 1 point each, then ranks 6, 7, and 8 are 2 points each, and then 9 and 10 are 3. So it takes a while to max out an attribute. You have to be a little selective with which ones and when you want to try and max them out, because getting the highest levels of some of the perks will require a maxed out attribute, and some of them won't. Lucky Looter only requires me to get to level 7. I think Deadeye probably requires 10. Yes. But now it's morning, so I'm going to come down and check out my loot, and then that will be where I end the episode, because I've already strayed into what would usually be the next episode's territory. We can see if we look at these towers that they did do a decent amount of damage, and they took out one of the reinforced blocks. However, it always sounds like they're doing more damage to these than they actually are. Because you're actually up above them, they tend to, once they break one block, not really proceed in an organized fashion, because they don't have a direct line to you. It's one of the reasons I like this structure so much, and one of the reasons I keep using it game after game. I've used this setup for at least since Alpha 16. That's where I'll leave this episode. Thank you for watching. I'm not entirely sure exactly what I'll do with this series, but I'll figure it out over time. If you have any ideas, leave them down in the comments for me. It's certainly not going to be daily anymore because I'll be back to work tomorrow, but I will still be making 7 Days to Die videos. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel to see more content, and if you want to help my channel grow, share it with your friends. Goodbye and God bless.